waiting, everyone. So yeah, hi. As I was introduced, I'm Ben. I'm one of the several Rust engineers at Zed, and I spend most of my time working on AI features. And recently, I've been specifically spending a lot of time on the agent client protocol, which is what I'm going to talk about tonight. So what is it? The agent client protocol is basically trying to standardize communication between an agent and some interface that a user might use that interacts with that agent. And because we're an editor and the big rage these days is coding agents, that's where we kind of started, was coding agents embedded, more integrated inside of IDEs. But why did we create this in the first place? Does the world really need yet another protocol? All valid questions. I'll go over kind of like the story behind that and see, I guess I'll let you see what you think for yourselves. So like to start that, but just for those who don't know, though it seems like everyone does, so I can speed through this. Zed is an editor. We like to call it the editor for what's next. We're trying to figure out, what does being a software engineer mean in this changing world of AI, and how can we meet developers where they're at and with the tooling that they need. Ideally, it's super fast, and that's why a lot of people like it, but also we're trying to bring in more AI features, not just because everyone's doing it, but because we actually think this is changing how we write software. And so, as an editor, we should figure out, along with you, what that looks like. And also, it's my favorite editor, which is why I work here, so that's that. Earlier this year, we launched our agent panel, and like most editors that have built-in agents that does things like can read your files, can make changes for you, it can connect to MCP servers, these sorts of things. But we also, because we're Zed, we have some stuff that we really like that we thought we should bring to the editor. So we have these cool collaboration features where you can follow along your teammate through their code base. And so we brought that feature to the agent as well. You can click the button and follow it as it reads and writes to different files. We also have this idea of a multi-buffer in Zed where you can edit multiple features at once. So when you review the agent's changes, you can also interact with that in the multi-buffer. And in here you can use our Zed Pro offering, which gives you access to various models. But we also support a bunch of other providers. So if you want to use a local model, or your work requires you to access Anthropic through AWS Bedrock, then you can also use that. You get the same features as the agent. Nothing changes other than where you get your model from, and you can use all the same features. Yeah. Also this year, it became increasingly popular for companies to release coding agents in the CLI, or as a CLI, and basically, I don't know. Nico from Amcode can talk about why they do this, but my assumption is you can take a CLI and run it anywhere, including a terminal inside of the editor. So it's very portable. You can bring it lots of places, and you don't have to build an integration everywhere, which makes sense. And as people were using more and more of these, they are paying for a subscription to use these, and then they come to Zed and say, hey, I pay for Claude Pro. Is there any way I can use this subscription with your editor? And unfortunately, the answer was kind of no. We can't just you're not allowed to use those API keys. But okay, so now we have people who want to use these things. They want to use them in Zed. And it's also becoming clear, it's not just, what model am I choosing? Previously, the question was kind of which model am I using? And now it's becoming more and more which agent am I using? And so, okay, so we allow people to choose different models, but maybe we need to allow people to also choose different agents. And yeah, they can use them in the CLI, but maybe we can have it be more integrated. And so, if we take a step back as an editor company, we know how personal your choice of editor is. There's lots of heated discussions about which editor is the best, and everyone kind of has an opinion, right? So, and there's been a move for language servers and debug adapters where the people who really understand the language and the ecosystem around it can provide their expertise in terms of like a server that then an editor can use. So you can like bring the best of your ecosystem to whatever editor you want. And so we thought, okay, maybe there's something here. Like maybe we could have a way where people can also take the best knowledge of all these agent teams and also be able to bring it, and we can, provide a nice UI on top. And so that kind of like, okay, can we do the same thing? Can you use whatever agent you want within the editor that you like? And can this be more integrated in some way? And can we, just like we provide like kind of a consistent way to interact with how language servers interact with your code, can we maybe, some people really like how Zed does AI. Can we somehow provide them a consistent way with interacting with AI while also like changing out the brains behind the scene? Can they bring new things and still kind of like think about how they interact with AI in the same way? So that brings me back here. And obviously like we could have solved this in some ways by having some nice abstraction in our code where we kind of abstract over all the agents, but it would still require a custom integration for each of these on our end. And people, like, not everyone likes the exact same thing, so is there a way that we could open up the ability for the community to kind of build their own agents, and as long as they meet the spec, we can run them? And we love open source, that is open source, so can we open source this? Can we create potentially a community around this? And if enough agents and clients support this, can we create kind of an ecosystem around this? Yeah, so what is it? I mean, basically all we defined was a JSON RPC spec that has bidirectional communication between client and agent, sending a bunch of messages via methods and notifications. Nothing too surprising there, but it was obviously like on the technical level, that's all there is, but there's some thought of like, okay, what do they actually need to communicate about? How does an agent report its progress? How does it stream its output, ask for permission? And how does the client kind of prompt to interact with the session, change the model, change the mode it's running in. So that's kind of like where we started. But we also wanted, like, we know that if there's one thing I know about AI is that I don't know what's going to come next. So we also didn't want to, we wanted to provide just enough constraints for a client to faithfully render what an agent's doing while leaving as much open as possible for the agent developers to experiment, to try new things. I don't want to decide how your internal data model looks like. I don't want to impose how you persist it or what sort of features you add on top. But let's align on what do I need to know as a client to represent that, and likewise, as a client, I might be able to add some stuff on top. But kind of what's like the necessary things to drive a good user experience to allow both sides to know what they need to know. So we launched this with support for Gemini, and we rewrote our whole agent to be more ACP-like, and then we followed that with Claude Code, and then shortly after Codex. And like through this, we learned a ton. I think we launched with what was, I think, our third version of the protocol. As we kind of like, as we started interacting with more agents, we needed to provide more flexibility or change how we were doing things. And so we launched and we thought, okay, we're really happy with this. We're actually able, this is, like we're using the exact same UI for all of our agents, including our own, and all of them are interacting through these agents through the same way. So for us, it was already a win. And for our users, this was already a win because, well, they had more agents they could choose between in Claude. So they don't really care how we got about this, but they had more choice, which was cool. And so we launched this, and we didn't really know how the community would respond. Maybe we just came up with a nice abstraction for ourselves, which it helps, but you never know how these things are going to be received. So I'm happy to say, like 2 months later, we have growing support and more in the next few weeks, so I can't say who yet, but keep an eye on our announcements. But yeah, like the adoption has been really quick, and it's been really cool to see a bunch of agents pick this up. You can use all of these in Zed, and then there's also a bunch of clients. Like, it was really cool, someone just submitted an Obsidian plugin, where now you can use Claude Code while you're working in your Obsidian docs, which I think is just cool. And I think as we're getting more teams involved, and I'm talking to more of these teams, it's cool to see people pushing for, how can we move this beyond just coding agents and IDEs? There seems to be something here that people people really resonate with, and it became clear that we weren't the only ones struggling with this problem. Agents, a lot of them are super excited to have more distribution, to have their agents embedded in more places, and to be able to, get their agent in front of more users. And for clients, I mean, users all want to use these agents. And so on the client side, they also want to support a lot of agents, but this also required the same problem as us. We have to do a custom integration. So now, as long as they implement ACP, they can provide access to a bunch of agents for their users in kind of new places. So that's really cool. And yeah, I think like I'm super excited about where this is going, and as more and more teams are coming on, it's like really clear. I'm seeing a lot of creativity and ideas for how can we bring the best agents everywhere I want them. So now the question is, okay, we're getting some adoption, what's next? I'm spending a lot of time trying to figure out, okay, how do we coordinate all these teams? So we moved everything into like a new GitHub org, where we can kind of collaborate centrally. JetBrains came on of note and like is really collaborating a lot with us on, especially on the client side, what does this look like, and how do we kind of propose new changes to the protocol and work together. And along those lines, we also launched last week like a new request for dialogue section where people can propose new changes and get feedback, and all the teams can kind of centralize our decisions and make some progress here. And also try stuff out. A big part of this is we can propose a change, but we need to see how it works. And so by centralizing some of these proposals, we can talk together about, hey, here's our feedback from our client or our agent and what we're seeing. Yeah, and it's been for me, super gratifying to be able to talk to all these teams and get their input, because I think it's really making the design of the protocol a lot better. So that's basically it. That's a little bit about ACP. If you want to get involved, I'd be super happy to talk with any of you here or online about if you want to integrate this with your editor, your agent, or whatever other idea you have. And also, like, if you want to contribute to the protocol itself and submit your ideas, I'm super happy to review it. It helps a lot to get the input from so many different people. Yeah, you can find more on the website. And yeah, as Esther said, if you also want to work on this at Zed, we're hiring Rust engineers, product managers, and designers, and some other things. So yeah, but basically we're super excited to be supporting ACP at Zed and also to be collaborating with all of you. So thanks.